Hi everyone, Zarina here and welcome to the channel. Today I'm out and about doing some watercolour sketches. I'm visiting a local to me park, which is quite nice. I haven't been here before, but there are lots of birds. I'm not here to capture birds actually, although I do sometimes sketch things that are real. I'm more looking at abstract aspects of the landscape that I can capture within one of my watercolours. And I look for things like intersections and light, dark, contrast, horizons, any kind of landscapey aspect really. Sort of shapes like this block here and light on the water, and you can see things in the water. I do sometimes do abstract landscapes, so vistas and things like that, but often it's a small minuscule thing you'll find somewhere and that's translated into a painting. It's so nice to come across a family of swans, and in a bird park you might expect this anyway. I do plan on doing some sketches of birds and swans perhaps. I do have in my possession at the moment Tunicliff's book, which I kind of nicked off Mum. Sorry Mum. You'll get it back at some point, don't worry. But yeah, I'd like to do some bird sketching. It seems like quite a relaxing thing to do actually. One of my favourite artists who's on YouTube, Fairy Little Peach, she does a few bird sketches now and then. Personal work it's called. Anyway, today I'm more interested in things like this, sort of wires on a dock, forgotten dock, you know, and what that might look like in a painting. To be honest with you, my paintings are not generally about specific things anyway. They might be inspired by them, and possibly I absorb these things, like for instance this balloon, which is quite surreal, which might end up in a painting but may not even look like the balloon. I am, however, enjoying the calm. I brought along a few sketch materials. I didn't bring too many because you have to carry them about. So with that in mind, I chose a couple of watercolours. I've got a watercolour pencil. I've got some paper, which is 300 GSM watercolour paper, and I've torn the paper up into small rectangles so they're easier to handle. And I do like this size work when I'm out and about, to be honest with you. It's kind of fun doing small things, and you can do as many bits of paper as you want. What I do first is I blob on some of the watercolour, and then I will print that onto one of the other bits of paper which I've just done. Then I'll add water to them. Sorry about this erratic camera work. It's because I'm trying to paint and hold the camera because I've got a tripod on me at the minute, which is an extra thing to carry, so I don't usually like to carry a tripod about, and I don't usually film me doing these little kind of sketches, to be honest, so this is kind of an anomaly, me filming it, but I already like what's happening with the paint. So this is indigo, one of my favourite, absolute favourite watercolour colours, and I'm just going to move that around with water from the pond. And I like to use watercolour out and about because it's just so easy and versatile really, and it doesn't really make a mess as such, and I feel it's a little bit less, you know, environmentally toxic, so I'm hoping that's the case, fingers crossed. As far as I know it is. But if you were to bring out acrylics, which you can bring out acrylics, you might have to, you know, collect the water in a pot or something, get rid of it somewhere else. You might not be wanting to spill that water back into the environment, that sort of thing. But watercolour seems to be a little bit more safer to use if you are worried about you know, your environmental footprint, etc., etc. Anyway, tool-wise, I'm using my palette knife, and I've also got a brush, a flathead brush, and I'm going to add some orange now, just some little daubs perhaps. And the orange is, I mean, if you look about, you see some stalks here that have gone a bit orangey. There's some orange in the water. I'm not going to be painting it in as such like that. I'll just be adding in the colour. And colour is one way to add in abstract interest, I find. Also, keeping the colours minimal is helpful when you're out and about, because everything becomes brown and mud-like otherwise. That's something that actually happens with paint a lot if you don't watch out. So yeah, separating colours and keeping them clean is one thing I do attempt. I'm not going to say it works every single time. Yeah. The thing with doing little abstract watercolours like this is you just don't know what you're going to get. You can mess around with it as much as you want, but you end up with something, perhaps, you know, sometimes you'll end up with something that you kind of thought, oh yeah, that was going to happen, you know. And then sometimes you'll end up with something you think, wait a minute, well, how did I get that? And this particular one, well, not this one so much, but the other one, this one, I think has some nice tones in it. And with this orange, I feel it's a little bit too overt, so to tone it down a bit, I'm kind of mingling it a little bit in to the rest of the, with the rest of the paint, which is kind of dark. I think they're done, actually. Yeah. And I'm kind of pleased with them. I've got some shapes in there, I've got some lines in there. And using the local water has given it a kind of, what's the word? History to it, which is quite nice. And I like the idea of paintings becoming history or heritage. I'm in the studio and having a look at the sketches together to see if they go together for a start. They were both, before I tore the paper, basically, these two pieces of paper were joined. And for that reason, you would think they would sit together. And I like the tear. I think that looks quite nice. And you can sort of put them together like this. But you know, when I painted these, I didn't really paint them with a view of displaying them together. So although I painted them at the same time, I didn't paint them together as a thing. So I'm not quite sure, sorry, that they work together in that way. I think separately they work better. I do like this painting. It's got a lot of dark tones in it. And I like the way the lines kind of allude to grasses or whatever. I mean, even this way up, I feel it works. So that's kind of a personal thing, orientation, which way round you want it. I always like to see which way round something works. This one has definitely a kind of Japanese feel to it, I feel, Japanese ink painting feel. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, although they may or may not have orange in the painting. Some paintings, Japanese paintings, do have a slight colour contrast, like a red or something, I think. But yeah, and again, this one, you know, you got to kind of like have a look at it, you know, see what you think. Sometimes you have to live with an abstract painting for a while before you decide whether or not it works in a certain aspect. So I've popped the paintings in a frame. So I've got this frame, which is handy to see what a painting would look like in a frame. I mean, these are really tiny paintings, and although you can frame them up and, you know, give them as gifts, etc., which is quite a nice idea, you can use these as a sort of springboard, is the word maybe, to do some other paintings, some larger paintings. So you can take some ideas from these small sketches and the experience of being out and about and create something bigger. And what I'm going to be doing in the next episode is taking the idea of these paintings and the colours that I've used and creating some larger works. And they will be kind of landscapey looking. They won't be overly abstract because I feel these little sketches are still quite landscapey. You know, they're not hard-edged abstract or anything like that. Yeah, so that'll be in the next episode. But in the meantime, I will probably go back to that cute little park and see what other little anomalies and fun things I can find and sketch and paint. And maybe I'll show you some of those resultant paintings in another episode. These irises are definitely going to be making their way into one of my paintings, I would say, because of the colour. It's absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, I'm signing off now, and I will see you in the next episode. So have fun whatever you do, whether it's travelling about, whether it's painting, or whether it is just viewing beautiful artworks. Bye for now.